Okay, I think we're live.
We are live. We have an excellent connection. We have 11 concurrent viewers. Hello, all 11 people that are here at this moment. I very much appreciate you being here. And yeah, we're just hanging out, talking about stuff, living life.
Trace, why don't you kick us off this time? I think it's your turn.
Okay, sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Trace, and this is my YouTube channel. And today we're going to have a SciComm happy hour featuring Kishore, Bobak, Eloisa, and hopefully Vanessa Hill when she finally shows up as well. We've just been, talking offline about how this world we're living in at the moment can be somewhat isolating. And rather than sit in our houses and talk about it individually, we figured we would get together and talk about not just that, but also things that we're reading, things that we're interested in, and just kind of happy things that can keep us going in these really uncertain times. So I am Trace Dominguez. You can find me all across the internet at Trace Dominguez, and I am joined by Kishore. Hi, Kishore.
Hi, I'm Kishore. I'm drinking a Manhattan tonight, or this afternoon, because it's 5 o'clock somewhere. And I do the science over at tested.com. Yeah, science. Yes, that's my introduction.
Good one.
Eloisa, how about you?
Hi, I'm Eloisa. I'm over in the UK, and it is definitely drinking hour here. Yay.
Yeah.
I've got a gin and tonic in my little octopus mug here. And I'm keeping hydrated too.
Trying to do both.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a TV producer, and I work mostly in programs about science and natural history. Kind of did a foray into a bit of ancient history recently with a bit of ancient Egypt and Vikings and things like that. And mostly for BBC and Nat Geo and channels like that. And my job is normally behind the camera. So this is a kind of fairly new experience for me. I'm normally finding people like you guys and making you guys do the stuff in front of camera. So yeah, pleasure to be here and looking forward to the chat.
Yay.
Are you judging our setups right now as well? Like how?
Yeah, well, I think I have to work. So I mean, look at this, horrible. The light, and I touched my face several times. But
oh yeah, are we doing the count, the face count?
Oh yeah, I gotta do the
Kishore,
count again.
Yeah,
we keep a live count of face touching.
I know.
Yeah. All right, get it out of your system now. Just go ahead. And
okay, ready?
You need to touch.
Everyone, you can touch your face if you need to right now, but after that, it's over.
I feel like I need to get my housemate's a cameraman and he knows lighting. I feel like I need to get him in here with something to balance out this red. I look like I've been drinking all day. Woo. There we go. Cheers.
Maybe you have. We're not going to judge you if you were.
Maybe I have. Yeah.
All right, Bobak, you're up.
Hey, I'm Bobak. I work at NASA's Jet Propulsion Lab by day and mostly building spacecraft and figuring out how they can break and trying to prevent them from happening in space. That's a fun job. Mm-hmm. And I'm drinking a whiskey, which I will talk about a little bit more, but it is this whiskey is partly my own making. So I want to get into that later. I don't want to talk about it yet. So I'll lead with that. Yeah.
We learned last time I'm supposed to lean toward the camera like puppets, like
That's right. Show interest and engage the camera.
So I want to start by saying tell me something good that's happened this week or the last few days for you.
Who? Anybody? Oh, I just finished my video. It's uploading. I'm excited. I didn't upload a video on Monday because I was working on this video and it was really hard to put together. I actually used slates and shot lists with numbered shot lists to make sure everything was all stayed together, which normally I just don't do.
What's the video on?
It's 3 different things that you can do at home with stuff that you already have to learn some scientific concepts. How to make a cloud in a bottle, how to measure the speed of light using only chocolate and your microwave.
What?
Oh,
I'm excited.
Really
all right. I'm intrigued.
And then also how you can hear the difference between hot water and cold water.
Oh, this is going to be good. I feel like this is very fun. I'm looking
And
It's
forward
going to be
it.
really fun. I'm really excited. And both my brother and Flavia appear in it. Flavia, while I was filming it, was like, you should do this. And I'm like, okay, come on, let's do it. And then my brother called me while I was filming it. And so I just made him do the outro for the video. So he's like and subscribe.
Does he look like you? So like people aren't going to know?
They'll know because he's on the phone.
Okay.
But yes, we look alike. We sound alike too.
What's something else that happened good? Eloisa, Bobak.
Shall I go?
Please.
So, well, I was part of a pub quiz yesterday, a virtual pub quiz, first one I've ever done that way. Which had
Wait. How does that work?
Yeah. And it had 90,000, actually, I think it was more than 90,000 because I was only on the YouTube version of it. So it was over 100,000 people taking part in a pub quiz. This guy called Jay, who normally does it for his local pub. I have no idea how many people normally go to that, but it's probably like 50, probably less.
90,000.
He did it for like 100,000 people across the UK. And it was amazing. And what was really lovely was it started just before 8, and then he was just sort of introducing it. And then at 8 o'clock, he sort of said to everybody, go outside. And we all joined in the applause for the NHS workers.
Oh.
And it was really beautiful. I got quite emotional, and all of our neighbours were leaning out the windows. I mean, I live in quite a big street, which quite wide roads, and you feel a bit separate from people sometimes, but you could hear it. And I've got a little video of everyone applauding and cheering, and so saying hi to people I hadn't met before. And then we went back in and did this pub quiz, and he did an amazing job. And I was, it was great. It was perfectly pitched for lots of different levels and really fun to do with your family and stuff. And he basically live streamed the questions, and then you answer them and mark them yourself, and you have to have I guess an honor system kind of going on that, but no Googling and all that kind of stuff. But it was awesome. So that was a real highlight. I really loved it. That was a good thing for me.
That sounds wonderful.
All right,
It really
Bobak.
does.
I have been enjoying your evening, I guess, sky. So I don't know if you noticed, but it was a very tiny crescent moon last night, and Venus just above it. So it's super pretty in the night sky. It's also just really fun to, I don't know, like look at, I look at those and always like, we've done things, like we've gone there, we've visited those places. So it's really exciting for me to look at it. But it's really pretty right now. I mean, it's not right, it's still afternoon here, but like another couple hours here, just a really nice setting moon, and Venus just above it. So real fun. So hopefully folks go out there and enjoy it.
Naked eye, or you get out a telescope for it?
Oh, I mean, you can see, well, obviously you can see the moon without the naked eye, and Venus is very bright. It's but it'll be the very first basically star that you can see as the sun is setting. I mean, you can see it well before the sun has completely, gone down.
We've actually had quite a clear day here, so I might actually be able to see something in the sky tonight.
Yeah, if you look just above the western horizon, you should see it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's cool.
My good news is happening right now. I've actually had a pretty like emotionally low week. I'm not doing great. This is like sort of a down phase and an up and down. But right now, and I can hear it from the other room, my son, he's 9. His classroom is now all on Zoom now, and they're having a Zoom Friday dance party. And,
That's great.
That sounds great.
I know. I kind of feel a little like left out because there are all these little kids on camera like dancing.
That's awesome.
Hey,
Vanessa!
Hey! Oh my God! I'm on my phone. I'm sorry because I've tried on so many devices at this point, and here we are.
You finally figured it out. I'm proud of you. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Trace. It's delightful to be here. I'm sorry that this is a unflattering angle, but I'm here, and that's all that matters.
The important thing is that you made it happen.
It is. I mean, at this stage, I haven't had a shower for over 2 days, and my hair's so dirty I had to wear this hat. So who cares what the angle looks like?
2 days isn't that bad. Yeah, that's not that bad. That feels like an appropriate amount of time right now.
You're showering quite often.
Yeah.
about every 3 days. Yeah.
Vanessa, do you want to do a quick intro about yourself for the audience? And then the question is, what's something good that has happened this week?
Yeah,
Either
sure.
to you or you've seen. Yeah.
Just in the world, yeah. My name's Vanessa Hill. I have a YouTube channel called Braincraft, which has all kinds of info on psychology and neuroscience and how it relates to your everyday life. I just released a video 15 minutes ago. You know, when this stream finishes, you can all go and watch it.
I will.
Please, thank you.
What's it on?
So it's on how to cope with uncertainty, which it was a pretty quick one that I made this week just to like have something out about what's going on right now and kind of how everyone is feeling. I did two terrifying things today. One is that I released my video at like 4:59 without watching it when I'd uploaded it to YouTube. I know. I was like, I'm gonna be late for the live stream. I just have to release it. And well, Trey, stop making that face.
Okay, stop.
But there's also mistakes that are in it that I didn't have time to remove, and it's a kind of thing where other people probably won't see them, except I know they're there and they'll haunt me for the rest of my life. But sometimes you just have to bite the bullet on something when you know it's imperfect, or otherwise I wouldn't have been able to make this stream. I have another call after that, and then I have like my life. So I just had to do it. Yeah. I did.
It sounds like you're having the uncertainty feelings around your video about uncertainty.
Well, I mean, part of the message of the video is to build up your tolerance of uncertainty around smaller things in your life. So maybe I'm just practicing what I preach on my own content.
I am proud of you for just going for it.
Thanks. Yeah, we'll see. I might just be, you know, wallowing in self-pity in a few hours, but we'll try and avoid that. Something that is good that has happened this week is
you finished a video.
I finished a video. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I finished a video. I haven't made something. I haven't released a video on my channel for over a month, maybe 5 or 6 weeks, because I was working on another big project. So that's done. My video's done. It's the weekend, and I have a fancy water.
Nice.
I have ginger and vodka, in case anybody's wondering.
I wish I had that. I
Classy
didn't really have time to do anything other than just grab this out of the fridge. So that's where I'm at.
I wanted to bring up something that we were starting to talk about before the stream, now that everyone is here.
Yeah.
Kishore asked a question to Bobak that I thought was great. And it jumps us into stuff that isn't related to our current economic or social situations.
Sure.
Do you think the glass that you drink a beverage out of affects your feeling of the beverage you are drinking?
100%. And it has to do with the texture on your mouth, but also the sound that the liquid makes, like inside the glass and as it moves into your mouth.
Wait. The texture
somehow
in your mouth? But why would the glass affect the texture in your mouth? You mean
no,
like
like when it touches your mouth, like whether it's ceramic or metal or glass. I think you get a different
paper
mouth
straws don't feel
feel
the same, right?
Oh, they're
paper
so
straw is gross.
inferior. Exactly. Yeah.
And is that also Coke out of a glass bottle versus Coke out of a can? Is that a texture thing as well? Yeah. Because I mean, the bottle always wins.
Your bottle? Like plastic bottle or glass bottle? I'm assuming glass. Yeah, I'm assuming glass. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy, man.
No. Good assumption.
But I also feel like maybe coached or tricked that like brown liquors, like good cocktails, need to be in a like heavier glass because it makes it feel more like contemplative to me. Like things I want to sip like should have weight on them. Whereas if I'm drinking something like lighter, like if I'm drinking a White Claw, that is straight out of the can at all times. But for something like when I get the good bourbon out, like I want it to be in a nice heavy glass. Is that just like the confirmation bias of reading too much like English literature in my life, or is that Or is that something else?
I mean, perhaps I would say we'll never know exactly what it is, for sure. But it's, I mean, it's probably a construct that you have created yourself, like from reading things, from being in situations like bars and things like that, where they're giving you the glass like that. Movies, like all of the media that you consume has shaped this perception that you now have.
I don't know who you think I am, but I have never been to a bar. Never. That would be.
You are a man of
I feel
value.
like-
you only drink at home.
Yeah.
I feel
It's a
like
very
this is
virtuous show.
You know, I don't want to like talk myself up, but I feel like this is the perfect topic for a D News video in 2014.
Yeah, what were you doing? Why weren't you making this?
Sorry.
Mike Rognetta on Idea Channel made a video about why we drink different things in different glasses.
Love
I never
that guy.
watched
He's
it.
going to be
I
on
never
the
watched
happy hour
it.
in the future.
I just know that he made it and it's available for your viewing pleasure.
Can I ask a question that's like slightly different topic? So I've spent a lot of time on video chat, and my cat has spent an almost near equal amount of time on my video chat. But I'm curious, like, are people like really using this time to like spend time with friends over video? Like, is that feel like, how are you kind of managing like the social closeness in this time of physical distance?
I'll jump in.
Is
I mean, I feel like I've seen more of my friends online the last week or two and it's because our lives are so busy, but finding an hour has never been a problem. It's like, especially in LA, the driving, you know, to the west side of LA takes an hour and a half after work or whatever, right? And here I am, like, just open the laptop or whatever and chat with somebody for like an hour or two is real low-hanging fruit, relatively speaking, I guess. So it's kind of nice.
It's almost as if we had communication devices available all the time. And
so
if only
weird.
we had those, like maybe in our pockets, we could talk to each other whenever we wanted.
Yeah, someone was saying that like phone calls are up like 500 something % in the last week, which, you know, like
Really?
makes sense. I
I have
call
not made
people
one
anymore.
phone call this week, not one. I've made
have you
hundreds of video
FaceTimed
calls.
and- yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
But not one, not phone, like phone.
I'm trapped in a flat with no telephone signal. So
Oh no.
I don't actually have phone signal for most of the time. So, but actually, yeah, I moved cities not that long ago. And so I'm separate, my family's in London, I'm in Bristol, which is in the west of England. And I've been managing to go back and see them quite a bit, you know, at least once a month, but I've suddenly, the communication has been incredible. I've suddenly seen them so much, and I've got my dad on to, well, we started off with Skype and we're working up to Zoom and things like that. But it's been amazing. And I am not a working from home kind of person. And I usually work in an office with at least 15 people in a like open plan setup. And then there's a whole other, the company's got other things going on too. And but we've gone from one team meeting a week to 2 team meetings a week. So there's like 15 of us on Zoom chatting to each other as well. And that, for me, that FaceTime is really important, really important.
My mom Zoom called me. She's like, hey, I wanted to learn how Zoom worked. I want to talk to your Aunt Carmen. And I was like, okay, Mom.
Did she change her like background on you? She's like, look at this. I'm at the Golden Gate Bridge and all
She
the.
literally called me, Kishore, today and was like, I bought a bunch of these virtual backgrounds. I got them in an email and I don't know how to make them on my Zoom. And I was like, Mom, I don't know anything about Zoom. I can't help you here. We're in uncharted territory.
Everyone keeps switching their virtual backgrounds during meetings. And every time I do it, it comes up on my face. Like it thinks that my face is the green screen. And I haven't worked out how to fix that yet. So if anyone can help me out with that, dazzle my friends and family later, that would be amazing. Thanks.
Eloisa, can I ask like how things are, like what are things like in the UK? Because I feel like everyone I talk to, like the feeling in that city is dramatically different. Like when I talk to my friends in New York, that feels wildly different than what's happening in San Francisco. What's it like in the UK right now?
Again, so I've just left London. I'm not there at the moment. I've got friends who live central. So London's in sort of zones, you know, and the central zones are where most of the sort of activity is happening. And I'm sure most of you have heard that our Prime Minister was diagnosed today. And
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Boris Johnson has mild symptoms, and at least one of his MPs as well. I think it might even be the health secretary. So I need to check that. I was saying earlier, sort of had to take pretty concerted time out from some of the news. Last week there was a lot of stuff going around about London being on lockdown tomorrow, like everybody's going to be on lockdown, and it became, you know, the army was going into the city, and it became this sort of slight cascade for me, just for a moment where I had my family there. I didn't know if my parents had enough food. I didn't know if they knew what was going on. I was like, felt like I was tapped into something that maybe they weren't aware of, and so I had to sort of be quite careful about how much I consume and what I'm consuming and who I'm listening to and things like that. So things have got more serious, and there are more stringent measures in place in terms of people are starting to take it more seriously, definitely. So this week we are now on a stay-at-home kind of guidance where we have to only go out for food, only go out for exercise once a day, only go out for very essential things. And that people are, as far as I can see, just in my community, abiding by that pretty closely. We're definitely practicing the social distancing kind of criteria. There's still a lot of confusion, definitely. It's, one of the things that's sort of disconcerted me a lot is I found it very confusing as well. And I'm used to kind of being like, right, where's the source of information? Let's go find this out and like drill to the bottom of it. But I haven't been able to get through a lot of the chatter, and there's people I would listen to telling me different things, and it is really difficult. But people are there's something, what I've noticed, at least in my community, is people being really caring towards each other and taking a lot of care. And there's a lot of mutual aid groups that's springing up and things like that, neighbours sort of helping neighbours. And I think 750,000 people have signed up to the NHS volunteer system as well. So the NHS launched that maybe a couple of days ago, and they were aiming for 500,000 volunteers, and they've just upped that to 750. So it's like looking for those really lovely things to take away from it, those sort of positives that are, that make me feel that although things I think are going to get more serious, people are there for each other, and it's those communities I really hope will make a really big difference. So, yeah.
And Vanessa, where are you? Are you in New York?
Yeah, so I live in New York City, which is like not doing enough, in my opinion. So I actually think that I would love to chat about this with some Americans on the call, because I feel like that in the American culture, you almost can't have a lockdown to the point that they have in like Italy or even the UK or Australia, where I'm from, where people get fined if they're outside doing unnecessary activities, or they're closing parks and the police are telling people to go home. Like, I kind of feel that the freedom in the identity of Americans like stops that from happening culturally. Like, New York is meant to be on lockdown. New York has an insane number of coronavirus cases, which are only growing daily. Like, it's quite a lot. And every time I go outside, there's people doing just so many unnecessary things, and it's just making me so angry. So I have a dog. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment, so I have to go outside to walk her a couple of times a day so she can use the bathroom. And there's people playing soccer games, playing communal basketball games. The food trucks are all up and down. Like, I live next to a really big park, and there's food trucks everywhere, and there's people lining up to get food and then sitting in groups eating it. And I mean, like, every single day. And I'm like, we're not on vacation. Like, why are you outside doing this? And it stresses me out, because when I go outside, like, I'm really trying to keep like 2 meters away from other people and kind of walking around and trying to keep my distance. And I'm only going outside for a short amount of time, like as much as I need to. And suddenly, like, because I live near a park, there's people flocking to it, driving to it, having like picnics. Like, it's concerning me. And the one thing that is on my mind is like, where are the police? Like, people should be getting fines for this. But as an Australian, like, Australia is such a nanny state where people will get fined for like doing anything. Do you know what I mean? And the US is just different to that. But I think there needs to be like a next level lockdown in New York, because like 2 weeks ago, I went and bought like all of this food so I wouldn't have to leave my house for 2 weeks. But I live near quite a number of pharmacies, supermarkets, liquor stores, all that kind of stuff. And like everything's open. And it seems like there's more people outside than there would be normally, because I live in a neighborhood that's a bit residential where normally during the week, everyone is like in Manhattan working, like downtown. So now there's just people everywhere, and it's really stressing me out.
Do you talk to any of the strangers that are out and about and be like, get the fuck back inside?
I wish I could. I feel like I'm not that confrontational personally, but I'm also far away from everyone. Like, I'm walking on the street a lot of the time because there's not a lot of traffic, but all of the footpaths and everything are packed. So
Hey!
Yeah.
Go inside!
Seriously.
Go inside, everybody!
I am definitely in the UK. So, I mean, I've given you a sort of slightly rosy view of things just because I'm, I mean, there's definitely like the confusion, there's lack of clarity over things like who's key working, who's meant to, the way that financial aid's been parceled out. I've tried not to be too political, but the way that financial aid is being parceled out has been confusing as well, which means there's some people who are still going to work who perhaps shouldn't be going to work. There's been a lot of videos shared of sort of like guys at building sites who are still having to work, and because they have to pay their way and they're having to work in ridiculous conditions, and then the tubes are still being run, and there are people on, so that's the underground, you know, the metro system is still full of people who are having to get to work, because London is a big city and not everyone can afford to live, you know, if you work at a hospital in the centre, for example, you have to get the tube maybe from 2-3 zones out in, and it might even take like 50 minutes, an hour for you to get to work every day. And there's those sorts of things have not been addressed, I don't think, to a full enough extent. And I am a little surprised at the lack of the sort of peer pressure kind of ripple effect, you know? I almost had a bit of a breakdown in the post office the other day where I had to post a letter. And it's the post office that shares with a pharmacy, and the pharmacy people are taking it really seriously, but the post office, they were, you know, the workers were taking it seriously, but the queue wasn't perfectly spaced and all this kind of stuff. And I was like trying not to lick my letter and anti-backing my hands and things like that, so I wouldn't pass anything along. And it's a very confusing
I want to share the most bizarre form of this that I encountered, which is I live a block from Golden Gate Park in the heart of San Francisco. And we took a walk, and it's the park's 150th anniversary. And so they were supposed to have a celebration this summer. And part of that is they're constructing this giant Ferris wheel as part of like this big festival that was supposed to happen. And we're out for a walk, and the construction workers are still building this Ferris wheel. And it was just like, but it's like a Ferris wheel in an empty park. And it's like, it was the most like jarring thing where they have to keep working on a Ferris wheel in a time when no one can ride it, and no one will probably be able to ride it. And I kind of didn't know what to do. Like, my brain couldn't handle like the weird information that was coming at me in that moment of watching construction workers building a thing that will basically never be used. And it'll just sit there. And so, I think there's a lot of that kind of weirdness that it just exists, and like we have to get comfortable with it, not to come back to the uncertainty stuff that you were talking about, Vanessa, but it's like I think like there's a part of this that we just have to kind of get okay with on some level, that it's not going to be perfect, and there's going to be weird moments like that.
I would like just to point out that we aren't going to stop anything by changing behavior of others, you know, like I think it's the best we can do. And what I keep telling my followers who ask me questions about, like, should I be outside yelling at people? is no, you should do what you think is the best thing for you and also your mental health. But like, if you don't get coronavirus, you might stop other people from getting it. That's the best you can really hope for. Like you can really, to kind of circle back to Vanessa's question, is both some of the power and some of the problem of the United States is our individualism, and that individualism always runs up against hard rocks in times like this. We saw it sort of break down after other natural disasters like Katrina. We saw it break down a lot in New Orleans, not so much outside of it. And then in 9/11, we saw it kind of break down everywhere, where people were being much different to each other than they had been previously, like putting plugs on the street so that each other could plug in. And, you know, you remember all of these stories. They were great. And they were really cool stories for the news because they just don't happen that often. It's just not it's not our culture necessarily. But like the best you can do, I think, is just take care of, which is an individualist mentality, but like take care of yourself and like make sure that you're doing things as best as you can. And also take solace in the fact that you might be stopping other people getting infected by behaving in a way that other people might see you as being overreacting. But the public health mentality is, if you say we overreacted, we're actually doing it at the right level. Like
model the behavior, don't preach the behavior.
Yeah, exactly.
I think something that I have struggled with in New York is seeing all of the photos in the media of like New York's on lockdown, there's no one here, and like Times Square is barren and the financial district is barren. And these are all areas where either they're normally full of tourists or people work and they're not at work. And then I go outside and I see like 100 people when I'm just trying to take my dog out for 5 minutes. And it's like this image of New York that's being circulated in the media isn't actually what it looks like where people live. So I have struggled with that a little.
That's really interesting, because I've been totally exposed to that media image that's been portrayed, and it's really interesting to hear from you about it.
Well,
LA is always so spread out. I don't ever see any money except for the people that live in the Winnebago down the street on the street. I see them doing the thing with the 2 sticks and the string that you throw in the air.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel
LA.
better about San Francisco, there's still a lot of people with weird waxed mustaches. So like I like the hipsterness is still
important to maintain.
Now you have more time at home to really like work on that.
That is like, we've had a lot of discussion. I'm touching my hair again. But we've had quite a lot of discussion about the sort of shut-in haircuts. We all might. My housemate asked me if I know how to cut hair the other day, and I was like, I don't know. Maybe I do. Let's give it a shot. But yeah,
that's going to be a popular webinar.
Yeah, it's going to
so,
be.
Bobak, your hair is still like perfect.
It's good, but
yeah.
I mean,
What are you talking about?
It's getting a little longer on the sides. It's starting to.
Yeah, but you can just.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. I want to ask a couple quick questions. So this is lightning round because we're about halfway through our stream. Yes or no? Do you have enough toilet paper?
Yes. Yeah. We're good.
Kind of. I only have 8 rolls. Is that enough?
I don't know. Depends on your rate of usage. I'm thinking about it because my fiance is really more of a go to Costco and buy 75 rolls kind of person, which you can't do right now. And so we have like probably 8 rolls, but that somehow feels not enough.
Charity thing, Give a Crap.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
So it's this charity that uses recycled paper to make toilet paper, and a lot of their proceeds go to sort of health issues around the world. And I can't remember all the details right now, but they send you this box of like 48 rolls of loo paper, and it lasts for 1,000 years. Like it just goes on. And unfortunately, my membership with them just lapsed, so I didn't have.
Oh no!
I know. But some of my friends sent me a picture of her box, and she was like, "Oh fuck, what have I got? I've got so much paper."
Okay, question 2.
Wait.
Lightning
With the
round.
risk of oversharing, we went bidet, and I have toilet paper till the end of time now.
Saying about that.
I don't think bidets are gonna. They're gonna. I mean, I want to use the word explode, but that just seems too
Right.
Right. That's not right. Okay, lightning round question 2. Do you wear pants on a daily basis? Chat, feel free to, wire in on this.
Yeah.
Those
Right
look like
now,
pants. They could be
I'm
leggings.
wearing
It's hard to
pants right
say.
now. The jeans.
Mine are camo, so if I stood up, you wouldn't be able to see them anyway. But
Oh, sure. Yeah, they're invisible.
Yeah.
I'm literally wearing a dress over pants at the moment. I put on this star dress so I would seem more nerdy. I'm actually wearing the trousers as well.
Nice, nice.
So double whammy.
The chat
I'm
is
on
saying
one on, one
Oh.
off with pants.
one on, one off. Oh, so you're alternating. I like it.
Oh, I see.
The chat is generally saying that dystopian hair will be the hot look for fall 2020.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be a thing.
And Bobak, you thought your moment was landing a machine on another world.
No,
You're wrong. It's
hair.
gonna be the dystopian hair 2020.
And it generally seems like people are not going pants and asking if leggings count as pants. Adam, I don't know if they do. I don't know, Adam. I think that's a loaded question. I'm not gonna go there.
Whatever
Should
works
we-
for you, Adam.
Should we talk a little?
Maybe.
Should we talk a little science? Because we
I love
all
it.
brought some stories to share. How about we start with Eloisa?
Oh God.
Do you not want to start? I can pick on somebody else.
No, I mean, I'm happy to, honestly, and then we can move on and talk about others. So as I said earlier, I work in sort of science and natural history TV, and I'm going to just tap into some of the things I've been looking at recently for my project I'm working on at the moment, which is basically kind of about how animals and plants find their way in the world and talk to each other. And my background is in zoology, so I'm getting to dust off my degree from a long time ago, and which is great because I'm lucky not to have to do some physics and cosmology and things like that for a little breather. And I have been looking into vision and communication and and it felt quite appropriate because I've been looking a lot at sort of honest signals and miscommunication in the animal world. And in particular, looking at things like, going back to vision, looking at light and how the different animals see different lights and how they have to choose what they are portraying in order to get the right audience. So if we look at human eyes, we have...
Are you suggesting animals have angles too?
I am. I'm not suggesting. I'm telling you whether some of them are conscious. I mean, even outside of vision, there are animals who are tricksters and deceivers. So, there'll be there are some amazing birds that can mimic calls for all different kinds of animals and other birds, and will call alarm calls in order to make other birds scatter so they can steal their food. There are monkeys, capuchins, within their own family groups a lesser capuchin will call an alarm call in order to make an older capuchin drop its food, and then it jumps in there.
What is a capuchin? I've
It's
never
a
heard of a
monkey.
capuchin.
It's a
They're
monkey.
super cute.
I think
Hold on.
actually
It's a cute monkey.
Yeah, it's super cute.
Monkey
I'm gonna.
from Friends was a capuchin, I think. Gosh, that's
Isn't it the monkey that you see
that's
in
right. The
films
monkey
all
on
the time?
Friends.
yeah,
Yeah.
The monkey on Friends is a capuchin.
capuchin.
Yeah, sorry. That's,
No,
yeah.
God,
Yeah.
I've been up all the time. I'm so sorry. So yeah, and I was sort of, what's quite interesting is one part of my job is I get to talk to amazing scientists about this sort of stuff and all these looking at vision, going back to vision. So humans have we are able to see in we have trichromatic vision, so we can see red, blue, and green. Red, blue, and yellow. And most mammals actually only have two cones, so they two color vision. They're red, green, colorblind. So in a way, we have sort of slightly more colors that we can see. But in the world of vision, there are animals that can see in UV, like bees, and I've just kind of gone down this sort of little route of just trying to see the world through animals' eyes and just sort of understand. For my program, find ways to try and bring that to life as well. So trying to think about sort of if we're seeing the world through a bee's eyes, like what would that look like? So they have compound eyes, they've got loads of different lenses, but they sacrifice the precision of their vision over those lenses. And then they can see in UV, so they see flowers in a completely different way to how we see flowers. They don't see sort of reds and oranges. They see these sort of landing strips, these sort of bullseyes in the middle of the flowers where the pollen is, and they can fly in really quickly and get what they need and get out again. And it's just sort of, yeah, so that's my little nursery that I've been going, my little trip that I've been on today. So, yeah. Any questions or comments?
That's cool.
Awesome.
I got a package. Ooh, I got a suit.
We lost Bobak in the middle of this too. Nessie, do you want to talk about nostalgia? Because like I'm full on the nostalgia. Hey, Flavia. I'm full on the nostalgia trip. Because everyone's talking about like what they're watching, and like people are like, oh, watch the weird tiger show on Netflix, like that weird guy. But I'm only watching stuff from like the 80s and 90s as like soothing to me, like from my youth. So talk to me about nostalgia.
That was really all I was going to say. So I'll just paraphrase what you just said.
I'm so sorry.
which is that in times of crisis, people seek nostalgic media. And I've been thinking of Harry Potter quite a lot, because I was actually at Trace's apartment maybe a week and a half ago, like when all of this stuff was just getting serious, and he was watching Harry Potter, and I was like, oh,
hang on, before you keep going, we did not touch while you were here or anything. It was all social distancing.
I actually,
she literally walked in the door like this and was like, hi.
Just watch from the door frame.
I had something to drop off to him, and I just had it in a bag, and I was like, hello, and I just dropped it in the hallway and then backed out.
And then you're like, I have to go now. The person who drove me is afraid to leave the car.
That's what life is like, and that was the last time that Trace and I ever saw each other. But Trace was watching Harry Potter, and then I have seen people posting on Instagram stories and Twitter and such that they have been watching Harry Potter, and it got me thinking about this nostalgia piece. And I was thinking about what I would speak about in this call, because I haven't really been doing much this week other than working on this uncertainty video, and I came across some like a report, not research, but like a professional report from the TV industry about what people watched after 9/11. And this is the second time that we've mentioned 9/11 on this call. That was meant to be lighthearted, so we wouldn't talk about the coronavirus, and we're just talking about like every other horrible tragedy.
Yes, but none of us are touching our faces, so there are positives
which
here.
is important.
That is not true according to the data that you'll see later in the show.
No.
I think I did touch my nose once, and for that I greatly apologize. But anyway, after 9/11, people started watching a lot of media from the 80s and 90s, and then similarly differently after the recession in 2008, people were watching a lot more TV. So in these kinds of times of crisis, actually media consumption booms, but people's preferences for what they're watching changes. And after the recession, networks were looking for shows that would really showcase thriftiness, because obviously like a lot of people had also lost their jobs, lost a lot of money, and Pawn Stars, the TV show, was born out of that. And that came out of the 2008 recession, and a lot of other like reality TV with people doing home renovations and all this kind of stuff themselves, like DIY stuff, came out of that period. So anyway, that was just an interesting like industry report thing that I saw this week, where everyone's like, what are people going to watch after the COVID-19 dies down in a way? And people are kind of saying nostalgia is one of them, and then perhaps like some other kind of DIY formats. Which doesn't have much to do with science, but has a lot to do with TV.
But you're telling me like introverts taking over TV media is going to be the rage coming out of this. It's like,
yeah, basically
a lot of people like 2 to 3 meters away from any other human being will be what we watch on television.
There should be some kind of social distancing reality show.
Was that Love Is Blind? That was
Love Is Blind,
Yeah, I suppose. But I mean, that was really just the first 2 episodes where the social distancing, and then they threw it all away.
I feel like I had other anxiety touched on it.
Yeah.
I have a vague memory of this from the last recession. They did some economic study, and I could be completely misquoting it, but I remember something like there was an economic study of what we tend to watch during economic downturns. And during certain economic downturns or certain like societal shifts, we tend to watch certain types of media. And one of those is like zombie movies get really popular, and like zombie stuff. It was also popular in like the 1920s and 30s, and like zombie stuff for some reason we are okay with watching or like in kind of consuming, funnily enough, during economic downturns. I can imagine zombie stuff probably not going to be that popular. Like when I walk around on the street, I don't really need a filmmaker to imagine in a post-apocalyptic world. Like we're sort of like, we have those pictures. We don't need a computer animated version of them. So I wonder what will be the media of something like this. Cause I don't know. It's fascinating. Yeah. Media critique is not science, but similar to economics, it's like fun to think about.
I have a question about touching your face. So if I have come in from outside, I have done a super duper hand wash, and then I touch my face and then I wash my hands again. Why can't I touch my face?
No one's telling you can't touch your face. All this show is trying to establish is empirical data on how often we're touching our face during video chats.
Okay. But
for me personally, it's trying to get out of the pattern of touching my face. Yeah. So like the habit that I do here, even though I wash my hands, is going to be the same habit like as I don't know, have to go to the grocery store and maybe also do like this.
Okay. Yeah. So we're all about establishing new habits, building habits.
At least for me.
Something that I've started to do, which is wasteful but fun, is scratching my face with a Q-tip. And I even yesterday I started picking my nose with a Q-tip. Recommend.
Wow, 5 stars. Okay.
I mean, it was really satisfying. So that's just why I wanted to share it.
Don't astronauts itch their nose in the spacesuit with like a bit of Velcro? They have it like inside.
Yeah, they have a little like patch that they can like rub their
because they can't can't touch their face. But is that something? Do you know anything about that, Bobak? Do they train them to be like, don't touch your face that much? Like because if your nose itches really bad, like and there's nothing you can do.
Velcro
on the face. I mean, they definitely have it because they do get itches. Like they have to scratch somewhere in there. And I think the worry for them, the reason they also have that pad down there is to clear their sinuses, right? So that you don't get the like popping of the ears and stuff. So you can go down there and also blow your nose essentially into it and force pop your ears.
Do you think we should stick bits of Velcro on our sleeves in this time?
Scratch my face.
No, but it's like then it gets contaminated. How are you going to keep the Velcro clean?
What you do is you get a wristband and then you stick Post-it notes and then you scratch it and then you can just peel this one off and then like now I can scratch it with a clean one.
You could patent that, Trace.
You may not make any money off of it, but you could patent it.
I feel bad that
if you just wanted to feel productive during this time, you could invent something.
I'm gonna write a motivational note on this so I don't feel like I wasted it.
This is good.
Bobak, did any science
old
stuff
fashioned? You remember those like hand wash things, like the towels that you would pull down slowly, like it would rotate back in? It's one of those that slowly you can just like twist slowly and have a little bit of new cloth each time. Because I would like a more sustainable option, Trace.
But what if it was also a hot towel, like a rotating warm towel?
Yeah. Or mentholated.
A hot towel on your wrist at all times. Is that what you're?
Why not?
Listen, a lithium-ion battery on one side, a small heater element, and you just slowly. We got this.
This is what happens when you get.
Call Mark.
So me. All right. I wanted. So one amazing thing. I hope everybody caught this. Was this like the discovery of the name Triscuit this week on Twitter? That was bananas. I don't know if so somebody did this research, and I will find the tweet and we can post it later in the notes. But there was a very popular tweet this week where the try, in Triscuit, someone was like, "Is it 3 things?" You're like, "It's not 3 things." It turns out it comes from the fact that the biscuit factory was powered by electricity, by Niagara Falls electricity. And so it was electricity biscuit, and then it became Triscuit, which is the name. And that was an amazing, like, it was this amazing thread on Twitter that I, of course, just given away the spoiler for, but it was just awesome to, I don't know, watch that kind of happen in real time, I guess, as this person discovered this. My good news also this week was I made a bacon fat washed whiskey.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean, I did not obviously make the whiskey. That part came prepared. But I had those cooking bacon and I had this extra fat. And so I put a little bit in a mason jar with some whiskey, just kind of stirred it occasionally for a few hours, froze it so that it all became solid again, and then scooped it off the top and then poured it through a cheesecloth just to get the remaining fat out of, or the little globules of fat. And so now I have a very kind of smoky bacon scented whiskey. And I even brought a small experiment so that we can try this. Yeah, that's right.
I'm ready.
So I was like, it's SciComm happy hour. So I actually don't know which of these containers is water. One is water and the other one's alcohol, isopropyl.
I feel confident that you'll be able to tell the difference.
You'll be able to tell the difference. And I have, because I just love coloring, a hot sesame oil, so you can see it's nice and red, so you can see it.
Wow.
I just touched my face. Shit.
Does this count? It's like
I don't know. Ask the data collector.
You can see, though they're separated still. And I'm gonna switch these around.
I like that you just had these little containers at your house.
These are for travel, because I travel a lot. Like, I have little containers for my beauty products, Trace. I gotta look my best.
I know.
All right. So I can already tell which is which. Hopefully you guys can too. So if you see side by side, one of them, the oil is separating out again, and the other one it's not.
Yeah.
So this is the alcohol, and this is the water solution. Anyway, so fat will dissolve into an alcohol, which is actually how you can actually extract lipids from things. But alcohol has the fun property of having basically the ability to dissolve in water and in fat, or dissolve fat. So you can actually get your whiskey to have both fat and alcohol in the water. So it was really fun. It was a fun experiment, and I was like, I can show you guys this on camera. So
that's awesome. Beyond the smoky flavor, do you get like a different kind of like flavor profile on like in your mouth too from it? Like, does the fat, like, do you feel like a little kind of like?
I was hoping for, because like some whiskeys have a very good kind of like mouth feel almost was the, and I know that's very popular in like Japanese whiskeys, is like one of the things they strive for is like a mouth feel. I didn't notice that with this. Like, I did the side by side, and you can definitely taste, like, the taste is very strongly different, but the texture doesn't seem to have changed as far as I could tell.
I feel like this is the second time that we've done a live stream where someone says the word mouthfeel, and now I just want to happen in every single one.
Is that when I first joined this call, we were talking about the mouthfeel of different vessels, and
that's right.
We've ended this call by speaking about the mouthfeel of different liquids.
I want to say like this whole like fat washing is an awesome way to produce cocktails. So
yes,
over the holidays, I did a milk washed cocktail where you took like a really, I did it with like tea and then like an acidic kind of like a brandy based cocktail mix, and then put it just right in like whole fat milk, and like it essentially curdles the milk, but it like traps the milk fat, actually traps around certain flavors, and like you get a much smoother cocktail on the other side, but it still has
sounds great.
It was really awesome. Same basic chemistry going on, and it makes this really smooth, very drinkable, low ABV cocktail that has like a little bite to it too. I really enjoy it. So there's all these great milk washing videos online.
Yeah, these are fun adult experiments, I guess you can do. I mean, there's the science behind them, but if you just want to taste the alcohol or whatever, highly recommend.
Okay, before we end, we've got a few questions from the chat. I think if one person wants to just jump in on one each time, I think this first one's really obvious for who should answer it. Spooky McGee wants to know how this is affecting the space industry in general, like COVID-19.
Vanessa, go.
Yeah. we had a launch yesterday. I don't know if that was like it was not the very first Space Force launch, but the very first, I guess, a kind of official Space Force launch. So that still happened yesterday. I know that a lot of folks are working remotely, but obviously the hardware folks, people building rockets and things like that, those are all kind of standing down for now. And then the big news that happened today was the closing of OneWeb, which is another one of the large satellite constellation programs. So you may have heard of Starlink from SpaceX. These are ideas of these large, massive, thousands or more satellites in kind of low Earth orbit that would provide near constant internet coverage for around the world. OneWeb was a joint partnership for Airbus, SoftBank, which is one of Japan's larger internet and telecom providers, and Roscosmos, the Russian launch services. And they officially, I think, are declaring bankruptcy today on that program. So
Wow.
they just actually had a launch just a couple of weeks ago. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. So during this epidemic, even before that was another one a couple weeks before that too. So that's pretty significant news for that. So I'm sure there'll be more ramifications as schedules slip and things that were going to be delivered are postponed. But
do we have any missions?
For me, I'll be able to keep working.
Do we have any missions planned with like rovers going to planets where they have like really specific launch windows that like can slip a year?
So the Europeans announced that they were going to delay their ExoMars, which was supposed to launch this year with us and China to land on Mars. They postponed that. I think in part they were having some other challenges, but then this sort of showed up too, and it was just like, well, I know that our partners at Israel actually were going to launch a mission not too long ago, or actually around now, and they had an Italian satellite on board, and I know they postponed that launch as well. So yeah, I think for the Mars rovers, at least, I know that we're still continuing building that. That's considered pretty essential. Of course, it's going to be very hard, if things don't clear up for enough people to do the launch and stuff like that. So they'll definitely push and prioritize and try to keep those things going. We always are very fortunate that most other people are really willing to work around those Mars mission schedules and delay their own launches to let that one happen. But I know they're still allowed to work, and they're still working real hard towards the July launch date.
I would think the clean rooms at NASA are probably some of the safest places in the world right now for given the
How many
situation.
people can live in a clean room?
I thought about it. I saw our giant clean room. I was like, man, this looks just real, so safe and warm right now.
It's like that episode of Monk.
Yeah.
All right, one more question from the chat. Do you think employers will require employees to get tested for the virus before coming back to work? I don't know if we can answer that, but is mass testing of people possible? I think we can all say yes.
I don't know if that's legal for the question that they actually asked.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's legal, at least in the US. I do think that's one of those things where in the US we like to go indirect, where we're like, well, it's not illegal for an employer to get you tested, but it is okay for an insurance company to decide to do a thing, and then they can be like, oh, well, we can't provide you insurance because, it's just like there are roundabout ways. We will see ripple effects from what's happening now for years of anything from, societally, but also lawsuits, and like people's work life will be different and all sorts of things.
I know that so for our Indian partners, they were getting scanned for fevers until the country essentially entered lockdown this past week. They were getting scanned for fevers and temperatures, I should say, on their entrance into work. So there's certainly precedents for and elsewhere.
That's what I was thinking of. Is like, I wouldn't be surprised if employers or if groups, like ideally, maybe like a government, like, some kind of high level federal government action. I don't know, maybe that's a thing that people can do in some countries, not so much in this one. But like that took people's temperatures. And you can do, it's non-invasive. You can do it with a video camera.
I think I think we're going to deal with some societal changes. I think the one thing to prepare for, especially in some of these Western democracies, you're going to hear the term serological test, serological test, serological test over and over again. And it's essentially a blood test that looks for an antibody from this. And one of the things we're going to have to, first of all, it's faster, more accurate, and cheaper than the current PCR test, which is a genetic sequencing test that looks for the RNA fragment in the virus now. I think what becomes interesting is if the science holds out that people that recover from coronavirus have immunity, at least immunity for the next, 12 months, depending on the seasonality of this. What do we do with those people? Those people are essentially like, they're like X-Men level mutants all of a sudden. Like their blood has like massive value to like frontline healthcare workers potentially. Like there's already trials around that. They're going to be able to do things like knock on the doors for the census, or like staff election centers for our election. They'll be able to do things that keep the economy in motion and just daily life in motion. And I think we have key questions about that, but that only comes if we are able to kind of understand who actually is that. So I think there's like a next level of testing that is coming that we have to convey some understanding of why that's so important, because we're so long away from like herd immunity, and we're even longer away from any sort of like vaccination or treatment. But I think that idea is like really interesting, because if you're immune, you can do so many valuable things, especially to those that are most vulnerable to this, that may not be possible otherwise. And I hope we somehow find a way to mobilize that population in a meaningful way.
Fascinating. I love that. That's like a nice way to end it. We could all be mutants someday.
Perhaps we already are.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Should we do some plugs?
Yeah, everybody please plug anything that you want. Eloisa, you want to go first, and then Vanessa, and then, moving
I don't
around.
know if we have any British people checking in, but there's an app you can download called COVID Tracker app, which is it's an experiment to basically try and track the spread of the symptoms of the disease, and trying to do an epidemiological study on that. So if you can download that, it takes a matter of seconds basically to fill in your symptoms, or lack of symptoms, just as important as well. And then it will ask you to do that every day or something like that. So you can do that. And then, sign up for the NHS volunteers as well. Those are my two main plugs, very British based, I'm afraid.
That's good. Vanessa.
My plug is for everyone watching this, wherever you are in the world. You can go to youtube.com/Braincraft and just have a look at the video that I just uploaded, which I hope is helpful. But because we're plugging, could you just like it and just leave a comment? It could just be a single emoji. It could just be an exclamation point. It could just say, thanks, Vanessa, or just hi, even, because it helps the video perform better when people comment and like things. So I would appreciate it if you did that, because I've had a weird week and I want to enjoy my weekend.
Any emoji, Vanessa?
Any emoji, any.
All right, eggplants, here we go. Let's do it.
Shout out. Vanessa, you just crossed very recently 500,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Do you know when I crossed 500,000 subscribers, Trace? It was a day that I spent with you like 3 weeks ago. Or so,
I'm sure those are not just correlated, but also positive.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a crazy milestone, and I haven't actually celebrated it yet or done anything, because it feels like a strange time to be well, it feels like a strange time to be like shouting out something like that. So we'll do it soon.
Congratulations.
Thank you. About it. Thank you.
Yeah, you should not postpone joy because shit is going on.
Well, the week that it happened was when shit got real. So now that we've settled into the shit show a little bit more.
The shit is a little more, it's over there. We know where the shit is. We can walk around it if we need to.
Yeah. So I'll do something next week.
Cool.
Bobak, do you have a plug?
I plugged last week NASA's educational stuff. I will say, so if you Google like JPL, NASA JPL education, a lot of resources. The thing that I enjoyed a lot this week was Ed Young's piece for, I think, The Atlantic. Outstanding piece. Highly recommend reading it. It's all over, but it's a very good, thoughtful, provocative, I would say, piece about sort of what does this look like as a long-term thing, and I think it's really important for folks to read.
I love Ed. He's great.
Yeah, I read it and can verify it was excellent.
Trace, how about you?
This is my channel. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. Also come follow me on the Instagrams and elsewhere. I have also got a video that's probably going to come out after this video is done. So when you're done watching Vanessa's video, probably wait a couple hours because it's still frickin' processing.
Well,
and come
after
back
they watch
and
my
I will have-
video, they can sign up for the NHS volunteers, go read Ed Yong's piece in The Atlantic, then come back and watch your
Yeah.
video.
And
Yeah,
hopefully
so
my video will
lucky
be
no one
finally
had
up.
anything planned to do today because
I don't have a
we've
thumbnail
kind of-
yet.
Just to finish this
We'll
trick.
get there.
I have 3 quick plugs. So one, I read this book, American Pandemic, that was about the 1918 response in the Americas to it. And there's this like really amazing story about how it, like in San Francisco where I lived, they actually passed ordinances that you had to wear masks in public to to
Wow.
prevent the spread of flu. And because San Francisco, there was a group that organized under the name the Anti-Mask League of San Francisco to fight police personnel giving out fines about it. And it's like
Wow.
this kind of beautiful, hilarious story, but it also kind of contextualizes the kind of societal changes that come pretty quickly in the wake of pandemics. And I thought it was a really interesting read. I want to plug, there's a lot of great videos. I've been working with a group called Mass for Docs that are encouraging people to 3D print PPE. So I've been making like face shields at night, and they're coordinating delivery to hospitals. So I definitely want to like shout out them and just the whole 3D printing community that is
Nice.
rising to that need. But most of all, I want to plug Nostalgic TV that we heard about because if you're watching The Office, Friends, whatever that thing
Stargate
is for
SG-1.
you, yeah. As long as it's not Star Trek Picard, the finale episode, spoiler alert, not good. Like enjoy yourself. Find a moment of personal happiness through media, whatever shape that takes for you.
And you know, I imagine you're going to talk about what you just mentioned on the next podcast you have to do in 15 minutes.
Oh yes, I also have to say mean things about that episode in 15 minutes. I'll be on a podcast with Ariel Waldman on Tested talking about the Picard finale.
Oh, I love her. We should have her on this podcast too.
Mhm.
Cool. Well, thanks for tuning in, all of the people in the chat. Thanks for your questions. Holly Hilton, who was my first patron, shout out to Holly. She says, add chipotle peppers to your mix before you skim off the bacon fat, Bobak.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah. So try that and let us know next week how it goes. If you guys want to come back next Friday, we're going to be here for more SciComm Happy Hour. Yay!
Yay.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Keep hands clean.
Bye.